This week's episode of The Graveyard Shift is brought to you by Deborah B., who recommended the featured movie. It was one I didn't even know existed, so thank you very much for that, Deborah, and thanks to everyone that's been sending us movie suggestions, questions, and comments. We've been receiving a lot, and we are very grateful. If you'd like to contact us, we'll let you know how you can do just that at the end of the show. And now, let's begin. My name is Sheldon, and this is The Graveyard Shift. Horror with Sheldon and Mike. Let's go. Welcome to episode 11 of the Graveyard Shift Horror Podcast. 11? Really? Wow. Where each week we watch a movie from the horror category, usually recommended by one of you fine folks, and we give you all the info that we think is important. Info like what we liked, what we didn't like, some production notes, and maybe some deleted scenes that are totally not real. And yes, I said we because even I'm not interested in listening to me talk for an hour. Please say hello to the only person to have all of his body parts rejected by Dr. Frankenstein, my co-host, Mike.
Hi, everybody.
How are you doing, Mike?
I always look forward to your delightful introductions.
I was proud of that one.
Oh, man, it has been a good week.
Yeah? You having a good time?
Yeah, how about you?
I'm doing good, and there is something that I want to bring up because I'm very happy about this. Our Twitter was standing still in regards to new followers, and then suddenly we got a really big boost. We went up about 160 followers in 1 week. So thank you very much, everyone, for that. Very much appreciate it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So, Mike,
if only we could get those Twitter followers to listen to the show.
Yeah, come on, people, just click the link. That's all you need to do. Click the link, push play, and then forget about us.
Maybe you need to tell them that we're not just a Twitter account.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, we're not just a pretty Twitter account. We also have a personality.
Sure. Okay, so, Mike, are we ready to start piecing this one together?
Oh, yes, definitely. A nice turn of phrase. You know how I love a pun.
Of course. So, why don't you tell everyone what we've got for them this week?
Today's episode is Frankenstud, because we watched Frankenstein, the true story.
Mm-hmm. That's right. There have been a lot of versions of Frankenstein committed to film over the years. We got to watch this one.
Most of them were fake. Who knew that there was a true story?
Yeah, we got the one that teaches you that everyone will like you as long as you're pretty.
Yep, essentially it's Deadpool.
Mm-hmm. So, without giving away any details just yet, what did you think of this one?
Usually when it comes to horror movies that are this polarizing in one viewing, you end up usually liking it in the beginning, but then something around the ending just falls flat. This was the opposite, where basically the first movie within this movie was essentially like mostly plotting, and then at the end it got good. So if people value their time, I could see why they would stay away.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it was like a slow burn that paid off at the end.
It is long, and it's not the most exciting Frankenstein story that I've seen. But it certainly does have some moments. It's not going to be for everybody. That's what I will say. It's you definitely have to be in the right mindset to watch this. Well, let me ask you this: what is your favorite Frankenstein movie, if you have one?
Young Frankenstein.
Oh, good choice. Yeah, that's definitely not following the, that's certainly a deviation away from the original story, but it counts.
As for serious Frankensteins, I think Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was a good one. The one was that the one with Robert De Niro
Yeah,
as Frankenstein?
from 93, I think, 93, 94.
I'd only seen that one recently, like within the last couple of years, and I really liked it. I thought it was more emotional and in-depth and, real than the other Universal black and whites. But, shit, I forget if Hammer did a Frankenstein as well, or if I'm confusing him with the Mummy.
No,
For a different shambling guy.
No, yeah, Hammer did one, The Curse of Frankenstein. Actually, they did a lot. They did a lot of Frankenstein movies, but that was their first one. That one was good. That one's probably my second favorite of the ones I've seen. My favorite has to be, I'm going with the classic, the Universal 1930 one with Boris Karloff. Probably because it was the first one that I saw, and it is what everyone thinks of when they think of Frankenstein's monster. It's that iconic image.
Dwight Frye was Dr. Frankenstein, right?
I believe so, yeah.
It's alive! Yep. It's alive! That is pretty damn iconic. You got to give it its due.
Yeah. And I am a huge Frankenstein fan. The monster was one of the first Halloween costumes that I made by myself. And yes, I am one of those annoying people that will correct you if you call the monster Frankenstein, because that was the doctor's name, not the monster's.
Yep.
And I get some weird looks sometimes when I point that out to people.
Have you ever seen fan edits of movies?
Yeah, I've seen some.
Did you ever see Spawn of Frankenstein?
No, I haven't.
What these guys did was they cut Bride of Frankenstein and the original Frankenstein together, the sequel and the original, together in one feature-length movie, and what they did as a nice alteration of the narrative was cut out any scenes, like a lot of filler, and also like scenes where the monster did anything good or kind. Because if he was supposed to get a criminal's brain, he should have been like a violent criminal from the beginning. Because I believe that in the 31 movie, it wasn't just young Frankenstein, but the original black and white also had Igor or Fritz drop the good brain, right? Or he screwed up and he had to bring the abnormal brain.
Yeah, I should know this, but it's been a while. But yeah, he gets an abnormal brain for some reason. I can't remember.
Yeah. So the monster shouldn't have been good and childlike. I mean, he should have been like a violent criminal thug. I can see like the allegory of like, oh, the real monster is man, but when they throw him getting an abnormal brain, it's like Chekhov's brain. The brain should matter. And what the Spawn of Frankenstein did was they took away all the redeeming qualities of the monster, so when he wakes up, you get what you should. A violent, frothing lunatic. And it really amps up the pacing. And all you see is the destruction the monster causes. From, throwing the girl in the lake to when he's finally with Frankenstein, his creator, at the end saying, like, we die together.
Mm-hmm. Cool, I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, Spawn of Frankenstein. If you can find it, go for it. And if you can't find it, hit me up and we can make it happen.
For sure. I like that. And Bride of Frankenstein actually was, even though, like I said, because of nostalgia effects, I always say that the 1931 Boris Karloff was my favorite, but Bride of Frankenstein is arguably a better movie. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give it a watch. But yeah, I'd like to do it that way. If you can get me that, I will certainly check it out.
Oh,
but
yeah,
anyway...
In that, like, the old man, like, Frankenstein gets over his fear of fire and learns to smoke with the blind man and smoke good. And it was such a great sequel because, like, it takes place immediately afterwards in the windmill. And, like, it shows him leaving the ruins of the windmill and killing one of the villagers that tried to torch him. And then when he tries to get that girl and she rejects him, I mean, that is just some heartbreaking action right there. She sees him and she tries to scream, but her vocal cords weren't put in properly, so it's just... And that's when he's just like, you can't make anything good. We have to all die together.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll check it out. But anyway, back to the movie that we actually watched. Released in 1973, Frankenstein, the True Story is a British-American made-for-TV movie loosely based on the classic Mary Shelley novel. I think pretty much every Frankenstein movie is loosely based, but whatever. I could not find anything about the budget of this one, but since it was a TV movie, we can assume it wasn't huge. It has a 67% score on Rotten Tomatoes, so not bad. It was available on DVD as of 2006 and apparently had very good DVD sales, as many people that originally saw it on TV and enjoyed it had finally had a chance to own it and watch it at home.
And they could skip the boring parts this time.
Yeah, and which is about 1/3 of the movie. So, with that being said, we've already given a little bit of an opinion on it. Do you want to dive right into our likes?
Absolutely. You go first, because I have got quite a few.
Yeah, there was a lot to talk about with this one, actually. So first of all, for my likes, the production value of this was actually pretty good, considering that it was a 70s made-for-TV movie. Its sets were elaborate, props were good, very detailed. It had a large cast, and you could tell like they actually really did put a lot of effort into it. So, they get points for at least the effort that they put into this production.
Oh, absolutely. And my first like, of course, will be the fantastic opening title credits. We got them flipping the pages of a book. It looks like the beginning of a 70s soap opera with like
yeah, it was very
a picture
70s.
of a book with their faces, with a clip of them from the movie being framed, and you get to see each actor, which I like, because it lets you know, like, where did I see that guy? Oh shit, like you see a lot of names in the credits, and you're just like, well, one of them is familiar, but who the hell were they? But now by showing their face along with the name, and the Gothic font was on point. So
one of the very first notes that I wrote when I'm watching this, Mike's gonna love these credits.
Oh, I absolutely did. They right off the gate, they got me.
So did you? Speaking of the credits, did you catch Doctor Who in there?
Tom Baker.
Yep, the fourth Doctor shows up. Not a big role, but it was pretty cool. Me and my wife were watching this, and as soon as Tom Baker shows up, it's like, Tom Baker, oh, the Doctor.
Maybe if he used a sonic screwdriver instead of the pistols, he could have fared a better chance against the monster.
Yeah, we just right away, both of us just geeked out. So it was like the rest of the movie for me was like waiting for Tom Baker to show up. Okay, so next for me, the makeup and practical effects were really well done. And they were actually done by veteran Hammer horror artist Roy Ashton. Just some examples. The look of Frankenstein's creation at the end, when it was a great makeup job when he was starting to decompose. The arm that gets animated arm that gets dissolved by acid. That was actually pretty cool.
Oh, the prop work. Fantastic.
Yeah. So I give them credit there, and it's going to be going completely against something I'm going to have to say about some of the effects later. But as for makeup and practical effects, yeah, good job.
Yeah, and what I liked was that every other movie we had seen of Frankenstein, at least that I had seen prior to this in the history, this was more truer to the book than the other ones were. Like, they always adapted a lot. I mean, like, pretty much had the core concept.
While there were some big deviations, this one was truer to the novel than the Universal and the Hammer Frankensteins, for sure.
Yeah, so it was like, I always like that authenticity. Like just do what the author said. Like, if the book is good enough to make a story out of, then, try being close to the book. Or at least give it a shot before you start making adaptations. But, it was it was good to see, like, Victor's transition, like, his childhood, like, the things that drove him, rather than the Universal one where Dwight Fry is basically just like, he starts off right away, yep, we're going to make a dead guy walk. Why? Because we can.
Yep. That's yeah, that's true. Okay, for my next one, just a short one. The acting actually wasn't bad. I can't think of anyone that stood out really as a bad actor in particular. Um, I mean, most of these people had pretty successful careers afterwards. Continued into business. So that was good. Like, I didn't know what to expect from a TV movie. Sometimes the casting can be a disaster. But not a bad job on this one.
Yep, and I like that. You know, the guy, Doctor, what was his name? Doctor Kovacs, Doctor Caligari. What the frick was his name?
I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember his name.
Dr. Kellogg. Anyway,
Kevorkian.
yeah, the guy that looked like a typical '70s pizza delivery porn guy.
Mm-hmm.
He made a claim about how he was the fastest sawbones in England. And I was just like, wait a second. I read an article recently about who the fastest sawbones really was. And that led me to a delightful conversation with you where I introduced you to Robert Liston, the fastest surgeon in Victorian London, who amputated a leg in 2.5 minutes, which was so fast he accidentally lopped off the testicles of the guy while he was there. I'm just like, I can appreciate being fast, like cutting through muscle and bone, but how quickly are you whipping that scalpel around where you're just like, oh fuck, grab that nut.
Jeez. Dude, honestly, like, the next thing you cut off might as well be my head. Because I'm not waking up from that. I don't want to wake up from that.
Okay, so what's another like you had?
Yeah, so for me, my next one, and I think you're going to have to agree with me, Mike, Jane Seymour. Was she not gorgeous?
Absolutely.
Wow. And, yeah, how old is Jane Seymour now? She was 23 when or 22 when they made this movie?
Yeah, she is 66 years old and still fuckalicious.
Fuckalicious.
Dude, check out her Wikipedia.
My friend?
There's an entry from 2015, and she's just as, like, differently hot, but still smashingly hot.
So now, fuckalicious, was this a word that you created?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My friend, you are a majestic bird, and the English language is the wind beneath your wings.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Thank you.
There you go.
And another like I had was when Dr. Killmonger was talking with Frankenstein, and they came up with the idea of harvesting the sun and using its flaming energy, and they decided to call themselves the Brotherhood of Prometheus. I thought that it was just like a really nice concept, and also just the idea of harnessing solar energy in that time.
Yeah, that was actually he was very what can I say? He was very theatrical about it, very grandiose. Always wanted to put a flair on things.
I've never read the Mary Shelley book. Was that more true to the book, or was it lightning?
No, that was a big deviation. Yeah.
Because I thought that lightning would have been the original thing in the Mary Shelley novel, because what inspired her, what inspired her in real life to write that book, right?
I believe I've heard, yeah.
Yeah, she was touring the country watching some guys, well, I don't know if she was on tour, but either way, she saw these doctors come in part of a traveling show demonstrating electricity by touching diodes or little electrical wands to frogs, and showing and even corpses and cadavers, making them blink, shake their arms and legs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so she thought the idea of electricity in the right dosage and application, actually creating a sustainable life or reanimation of the dead, would be an amazing story, and that is what inspired Frankenstein.
Yep.
So I just find it weird that they would try to focus so much on sunlight in this So I was just trying to figure out like what the deal was. Like if
Yeah.
that was like, wow, that's what the actual novel was.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put that one in my dislike category. Because sunlight instead of electricity, yeah, like that was what was used in the original novel was electricity. And I know, like we said, like there's not one movie version of Frankenstein where they really stuck true to the novel fully.
What about
So-
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein?
which was probably the closest one. Not 100% faithful, but it was probably the closest that I've seen. And I know, like with any type of movie that's based on any type of reading material, artistic license is going to mean some deviations. But there's just something I'd call it sacrilegious about not having electricity be the key in the reanimation. Like to me, that's what I don't even know. It's like Terminator
see it.
without Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, that'd be like Terminator if he just came back with all of his clothes, so he didn't have to
like,
beat up a
there's
bunch of
just There's
bikers.
just certain things you don't change when it comes to artistic license or reboots or variations. Like just
You mean like Terminator Genesis, where apparently the Terminator comes back and he finds a teenage Sarah Connor or something?
yeah. Yeah, just that. Now that one, I had to disagree with that one. I didn't like that changing, screwing around with that. Even in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein with Robert De Niro, I don't think he used lightning. If I remember correctly, now I saw this movie. This movie was like fresh to video when I saw it, so this is quite some years ago. I was very young. I believe they still use electricity, but it was generated from electric eels.
Yes, he was in a bath, and they used like an electric bath to animate him.
Yeah. So still electricity, but yeah, I did not like that. So, and I'm done with my likes anyway, so that's fitting.
Okay, so then I can rapid fire the rest of my likes.
Yeah, go for it.
One of them was something I just wrote down: an American stableman in London. Because Dr. Ernie Kovacs, is hanging out with Frankenstein, and there's a big accident down at the quarry, and they've put all the bodies in the morgue. And that is when the stableman's just like, they moved the bodies in, doctor. And I'm like, wait a fuck, isn't this in England?
Yeah.
And then we get to see the hand in the aquarium. And I'm just thinking, like, that is a great Thing impression from the arm. Oh, look, Victor, he likes you.
Hey, we just got an explanation for Thing in the Addams Family. He was a reanimated hand straight from Frankenstein's lab.
The one that got away.
There you go.
And another thing I liked was, again, the genuine good acting from, like, especially the chemistry between the Victor and the creature. Like, when he first notices his face is falling apart, and he's just, like, jumps off the white cliffs of Dover. And it's just like Final Fantasy VI, if you ever played that game. Like, one character, not the main character, but she becomes the main character, and she gets very distraught after the world is destroyed. And you can make a choice to, like, save her surrogate father figure by feeding him, like, the right fish. But if you don't, then he gets sick and dies. And if he does, then she becomes really distraught, walks up the mountain on the island, and just throws herself off of it.
I feel like I've heard that story recently. Somehow. I don't know why. So, any more likes for you?
Oh yeah, when the guy washes up and accidentally kills two people, he comes back to the island. He comes back to the house looking for Victor, and there he finds Dr. Polidori has turned the workshop into an opium den / Oriental pawn shop, like he's planning on selling somebody a mogwai.
Yep.
And another thing is, every time they try to do an experiment, it always shows this weird lava lamp cut.
Yeah.
And what the hell were those things? Those little water things with the colored oils in them? and you would press them and like they'd blow them up in the air, and then you'd see them congeal on the bottom, and they had like little slides and everything. What the hell were they? Like little squirt tanks?
That's what everybody had in the 70s instead of Game Boys.
Those were our Game Boys.
Yeah. How old are you?
I was born in 1980. I may have gotten some hand-me-downs, though.
Oh, yeah. I knew a lot of people that had those laying around their house. So that's how I know what they are.
Yeah. And another one was 2 hours in, tits. Which is strange for a made-for-TV movie.
Were they real? Was that just like a dummy or something?
Oh, obviously it was a dummy because they were underwater.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, but it's still like, wait a second, you can show like, well, I suppose like if you can show like a marble statue or whatever.
Yeah.
And what I loved was like at one point a character gets killed by a lightning bolt and instantly becomes a skeleton.
See, you stole one of my dislikes for a like. I get for my dislikes Dr. Palladori's death. He gets struck by lightning and immediately turns into a Halloween skeleton. Like there's no smoke or flames, just zap skeleton.
You think you'd at least see his flesh explode off of his skeleton to reveal it?
Flames. I rewatched that part like so many times. Just
I know you'd expect flames or something.
And unfortunately, it happens during a good scene in the movie, but I couldn't take it seriously anymore after seeing that.
And then finally seeing the old lady show up at the ball like Little Bo Peep.
That was pretty funny. Me and my wife both laughed at that. It's before she even brought it up because she was the one that actually said she mistook it for a costume ball. My wife goes, "Why is she dressed like Little Bo Peep?" I don't think somebody in the the costume, one of the costume designers, understood what time period this was supposed to take place in.
Well, when would Little Bo Peep be in? I mean, like, was it explicitly like an Edwardian tale?
I have no idea.
I mean, like, Little Bo Peep seemed like it could be Victorian era. I mean, like, how many women like grew up on a farm? Like, of course, if you're going to be herding sheep, you think you wouldn't be dressed so fancy. So, I mean, like, the whole idea of the Little Bo Peep costume kind of falls into question. Like, was this supposed to be like some sort of like slutty shepherd Halloween costume from the 1800s?
Yeah, really.
It's like they didn't have sexy nurses back then, so they just thought, what about sexy shepherdess? Okay, let's go with that. Well, we can't reveal any ankles or anything, because then we'll get censored. Well, why don't we just play her up like a big doll then? Oh, okay, good. And, that's it for my likes.
Okay, well, I'm very excited about the next part. So I've already got a couple knocked off my list because our opinions on some things clash. So why don't you start off with the dislikes?
Okay, my big first dislike is, oh fuck, what movie has previews in it of itself? Seriously, the cold intro that talks about Mary Shelley is very nice and informative, and I'm glad to see it, but why are you showing me what I'm just about to see? Exactly. And there's not even a smooth transition from that to the movie intro. It's just random clips of what's coming in and boom, shows the book.
Yep, I'm bringing up my notes because I actually made a note of this when I was watching it. My very first note actually says, "Did we just see the Cliff Notes version of the movie?" Like literally, like I know it doesn't give away a lot of plot, and I think most people are familiar with the plot, the main plot of Frankenstein. But yet they showed clips of the movie right from the start, right to the finish.
For 5 minutes. 5 whole minutes of just stick around and you're going to see this. How about you shut the fuck up and let me see it now?
Yeah, it was bizarre. I've never seen anything like that before.
You are going to see intrigue. Scene of intrigue. And suspense. A scene with suspense. Terror. A scene with terror. You know what? How about you show me the damn movie? It's already long enough. Why are you padding it?
Yep. So, for one of my dislikes, and you knew I was going to say this, the thing was 3 hours long.
Well, by your definition, it would have 2 sweet spots.
Jesus. I know it's meant to be watched in 2 sittings, but holy crap, there's a lot of unnecessary time filling. Like, this originally played over a course of 2 nights, an hour-and-a-half segment each night. They could have easily cut it down to 2 hours, had 2 one-hour segments. If you're going to make anything this long, it has to be interesting the whole way through. And this was not.
Yeah, at least Peter Jackson knew that when you do Lord of the Rings, at least have some awesome visuals, some interesting dialogue, some weird magical creature attacking. And if you're gonna be make me watch something for 3 hours, give me 3 hours of stuff.
I swear to God, there was one scene where I'm pretty sure, I may have partially fallen asleep, but I'm pretty sure that a couple of people ate an entire meal, like from start to finish, while we were watching. So yeah, brutally long. If you're gonna take it upon yourself to watch this, be prepared for that. Like, it is, because this movie was on our list. We got this movie suggestion a while ago, and if we were going to follow the movies list like in the order that we got them, which we have been pretty much doing, this one would have been like 2 episodes ago. But we just couldn't find time to watch the movie, like watch the entire thing. So, yeah.
Oh man, this took me 2 days to watch this movie.
Yeah, me too. I had to watch it in 2 sittings. So
I watched like 2 hours, and then my nephews came. And like the worst part is like I started around noon, and I only got 2 hours of the movie done by 5,
and
because there was interruptions and.
Think about this. If you were 1973 when this was playing on TV, not only would, like, we're talking about 2 segments. This is just the movie, an hour and a half for part 1, an hour and a half for part 2. That's not including any commercials they had thrown in there as well.
Son of a bitch. I mean, just watch All in the Family instead.
Yeah, so there you go. You know me and my precious time. I don't like to throw it away on an unworthy movie.
And then when the movie does start, we get to see Frankie having a picnic with his girl and hanging out with his moron brother, who like stands up, says like, "Hey, come on in the water" or something, and then just immediately falls over and drowns. And I'm like, okay, what possessed you to go boating with no swimming aptitude? You could have just sat by the lake, soak your feet if you want.
No swimming aptitude? How about no walking aptitude? He was about 20 feet from the shore. Victor is like halfway to him, and he's like barely up to his knees in water.
He could have walked from the bottom. I'm pretty sure if the guy
just stood up, his head would have been at least above.
He could have just walked to the shore and broke water. He would have broke the surface of the water before running out of breath.
And I'm pretty sure that Victor looked like he was certain his brother had drowned about 4.5 seconds after he fell out of the boat.
Splash! 1 stroke, 2 stroke. Oh, my brother's drowned! Oh! It's like, dude, people can survive longer than that without air, okay? If he was in space, he'd still be alive by the time you pronounced him dead.
So I put in my notes here, so people in Britain don't swim.
Victorian jackass. Seriously, if you're going to go boating, don't. If you can't swim. Like, just stand by the lake, soak your feet at the dock. Like, oh my God. Like, he kind of deserved to die. Like, this is natural selection.
Hey, this was Victorian era, so maybe he didn't drown. Maybe he just got wet and then died of pneumonia or whooping cough or cholera or something. Who knows?
Instant cholera. Okay, what else?
Okay, well, while I mentioned earlier that I like the makeup and the practical effects for the most part, some of the visual effects were not good. Because, case in point, we already mentioned about Dr. Palladori's death, where he just instantly turned into a plastic skeleton. Cheap for some of the special effects, like take for instance the animation when it came to involving the creating of both of the creatures.
Oh, you mean just drawing a glow around them and that's it?
Drawing a glow and then like shooting from inside of a lava lamp. Cheap 1970s sci-fi is the best way I can describe it.
Oh, what the hell was that? It was like a Wonder Bread lava lamp. It's like, let's just throw in some gelled oils and just watch them float around. And, I'm pretty sure we saw the same type of special effect used in The Incredible Voyage. When they're just like, let's show the bloodstream. Okay, well, Let's just throw some freaking water and colored globs.
That's pretty much it, yeah. So I was like, wow, that really took away from the whole, like, experience, I guess, is the best way I can put it.
Yeah, it really felt like they could have done better, but I figured, it's like, you figured in the 70s, it's just like, well, this is all we had. Like, I suppose. But, another dislike I had was when, immediately after Shitbrain's funeral, Elizabeth is talking with Victor, and when Victor's talking about defeating death, she's just like, oh, Satan tempted our Lord with that very thing. And I'm like, where in the Bible did Satan tempt Jesus with reanimation? I mean, Jesus already did a trial run with Lazarus before going through with it himself. Like, was Satan just offering directions to the pet cemetery?
Yeah, it was, She had some great lines. She was a very annoying character.
Oh, my next dislike is about one of her lines.
Oh, well, go for it. Just let it rip.
When Victor's trying to get into explaining his experiments, and she says, please use simple language suitable to my sex. And I'm like, this story was written by a woman. Was she dissing other women of her time, or did a man write this screenplay just to keep the skirts in their place?
She may as well have said, don't ask me, I'm just a girl.
I don't need to know that, I'm pretty.
Oh, yeah, that was, that not good. I didn't like her. I was glad when she was dead.
Oh, there are so many shitty things. Oh, so many shitty dislikes. Oh my god. The next is with her when Frankter decides to test his reanimation on a butterfly. And we get to see this chilling, scintillating horror music wasted on a butterfly. I mean, the music when that butterfly's coming to her face, it's like you think Dracula teamed up with the werewolf to, like, end this girl.
Yeah. So, actually, since we had a lot of similar ones, I only have one more left on my list. I understand the concept of the reanimation process reversing and a monster starting to decay. Why would that change his bone structure? He's starting to turn into like a Neanderthal at the end.
Yeah.
I believe your text said the Geico caveman just showed up.
Yeah, he went from Mick Jagger to the Geico caveman.
That's it. Yeah, that's the one. So that was a weird choice when it came to the look of the monster. It's like, I have him decay, sure, that's fine. That actually looked pretty good, but like gave him the sloping brow and like the wider head. Why?
Well, he needs to sell car insurance.
Yeah.
But seriously, I mean, like, if you're going to make a point about how it's regressing and reversing, why doesn't he eventually decompose and die?
Mm-hmm.
He just gets a little ugly.
He gets bulletproof, apparently.
Yeah, you think if his body's getting worse that, being shot would just completely blow his fucking back out. And that he's becoming, like, stronger and impervious to injury rather than, being a big sloppy, gooey mess. Like, he should be fucking dead by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And then when Dr. I can't think of another stupid name with a K. Reads dead. And at his funeral, the priest, instead of reading any scripture, he starts reading like, and so, and blah, blah, blah. And then to live again in Elysian fields, something, oh, death, where is thy sting? And I'm like, is this guy just reading plays now? And then another big dislike was that right in the introduction, it looks and sounds like a Hammer film, but only for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, those hopes are quickly squashed.
And then we get to, and then when the scene comes where the old man is making friends with the monster, who adopts the name Legion because he has many, rather fitting, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The kids, his granddaughter and her farmhand bang boy, decide, let's surprise the extremely shy strong man. Oh shit, it backfired. And then he just thought, oh, I'm gonna go rough this guy up. And then we got the dead Stephen Merchant sounding farmhand. It's like, seriously, you scared the shit out of this guy, and he like threw a girl away. Why can't you just be like, oh shit, this is getting out of hand, let's talk. No, I'm gonna try to wallop this guy that can rip off my cottage door.
Yeah, it's
And then when Victor is brought back to his own lab / Chinese pawn shop, the monster is walking around carrying that stupid fucking mask. Again, he's walking around with that kabuki mask on a popsicle stick. I mean, he's in the company of everybody who already knows what he looks like, and he's still covering his face like a goof. And then when they show Agatha's head, Victor, like, they take it off, and Victor seems to be appalled at the face he sees. But then when the camera switches to Dr. Palidori, the head is facing him now. And then when we see Victor, the head is facing Victor.
Yep.
And then we get to see this weird fade cut, like the experiment is being conducted on her, where basically they throw food coloring in an aquarium. And then we get like a slight faded cut of her being dressed while standing. It's like, did they just skip the part where she wakes up?
Yeah, I guess so.
And then Victor, he's on his honeymoon. He comes back, he's got a beard, and then immediately loses it. We don't even see him shave it. He walks in, oh, Victor, you got a beard. Next scene, oh, he doesn't have a beard anymore. Like, what the fuck was the point of the beard?
Was that a prank by somebody in the makeup department, I wonder? They just decided, like, one scene, they're just going to, while he's in the makeup chair, just stick a beard on him?
And then there was just, like, a bad music cut when we see Prima freaking out over the sewing on her neck. Because we get to see, like, this musical sting. And when she, like sees the sewing on her neck, and she's like, ah, what am I? And it's like, she has to know what she is. But she still has a reaction. And then immediately that same, like, there's no change in the music, but it changes the scene where Elizabeth is like in bed, and she's like distressed and about to talk to Victor. And it's still showing that freak out music, which has, like, they're not sharing the same emotional experience. Why is the music, like, not changed? And then we get to see Victor getting a raw deal, the monster getting a raw deal. Like, Victor shows some conscience, and, like, he discards the monster, and then he tries to wake him up when they're about to finally put him in an acid bath, and then he lets him get burnt alive rather than, like, fighting Dr. Puff and stuff. And then he toasts, and then he ends up, like, toasting the same guy that he tried to sabotage earlier. And then, when the monster finally strangles Elizabeth, Victor wakes up. I mean, like, how long had he been sleeping? Because that boat is completely iced over. And he sees Elizabeth, like, again, a staged corpse. Like, instead of leaving her where he killed her, he brings her out on the deck and lays her out on the stairs for Victor to find. And we get to see her frozen over, but with no bruises on her neck. Like, he strangled her with meat hooks that can break doors. And her neck is perfectly fine. And then finally at the end, when the iceberg collapses, like, supposedly killing Victor and the monster, I gotta ask, where were they? Because it shows the monster and Victor getting off the boat, walking towards a cave on what appears to be the mainland, and yet all we're treated to is footage of an iceberg collapsing, and just like the edge of an iceberg collapsing.
Yeah. My final
So where the fuck were they?
my final two notes for the movie were, oh look, they found Superman's Fortress of Solitude. And then my final note is, oh, they were killed by stock footage.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, and the scene did look good, like leading up to it with Victor walking after the monster on the ice. That should look good, but then it would cut to this big ice cave that looked like the most horrible green screen I've ever witnessed. And then the stock footage of the collapsing iceberg, yeah, it was pretty terrible.
It's like you could have at least put like a toy ship on the side, so that you could like show, oh, see, there they are, there's the ship. But no, it's like the ship is on this flat plane, and yet we see an iceberg collapsing, and I'm like, is the iceberg collapsing on them, or did they somehow sail their ship up an iceberg to its edge, and then just the edge collapses, taking them in the boat with them?
I did like at the end with Victor giving like one of his final lines, of like maybe 2 or 3 lines with a big piece of styrofoam stuck to his face.
Oh no, you're trying to take it seriously, because it's the first time he's actually having like an honest dialogue.
Yeah,
with the monster.
Well, I couldn't take it seriously because I'm like, because them speaking is what caused the avalanche, right? And it's a very serious scene. He's talking about how like this is all his fault and he's sorry for what he put his creation through and everything like that, and he deserves to die. And the whole time, all I can see is this like chunk of styrofoam stuck to his eyebrow.
Victor's histrionics is causing global warming, apparently.
Yeah. Well, that's
again, you couldn't tell, like, even if you're trying to like, okay, get some suspension of disbelief. So is the iceberg, like, were they just like parked beside an iceberg that we never saw during the big open expanse scene? Or were they on top of the iceberg, again, because the boat sailed up?
I have no idea. It's a long list of things that didn't make much sense.
It's like they just phoned it in at the very end.
So you have anything else?
Nope, that's the end of my dislikes.
Yeah, mine too. That's all I had to say. It's listed on IMDb as a drama/horror movie, and it is much more drama than horror, so I would recommend this to someone who is not really a horror fan but wanted to watch something horror-ish.
A drama with horror elements.
Yes. So
a horma.
I'll give it a 5 out of 10 just because it is what it tried to be, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. If I was to judge it as a hardcore horror fan, as I normally would, it wouldn't score that high, but I'll give it a bit of leniency just because it's more drama than horror, so.
A drawer.
Drawer, yes. Oh my god. So, overall, what are your overall thoughts? Would you recommend it to someone?
I'd recommend it to someone whose time I don't value.
Poor Deborah. She suggested this. It's probably one of her favorite movies, and we're just like shitting all over it. Because nobody, like, this didn't have any other release prior. From what I've seen, like, this was it aired on TV. It might have been shown in reruns, syndication, or whatever. But most people that saw this when it originally ran on TV didn't see it again until it was on DVD.
I know. If only it could have come out on Laserdisc.
Well, apparently it was going to have a Laserdisc release. Like, it was getting ready to go, but apparently that never went through. It had something to do with the production costs. They didn't think it would be feasible. It's too bad because they even were going to have some commentary by a couple of the actors from the movie.
Wow, that would be really cutting edge because apparently Laserdiscs had commentary.
Yeah, I've only learned this recently. I had no idea that there was like actual commentary on Laserdisc. I thought that was not something that was a thing until DVDs came out.
No, apparently DVDs came out in the 70s and people just weren't that impressed. But again, so are you telling me that you have some of this amazing commentary footage that we get to hear some of the actors or directors?
Well, I pulled in some favors, and like, man, it's a good thing that a lot of people that are into business owe me favors, because since we've been doing this podcast, I've had to pull in a lot of it. But yes, actually, I didn't get the whole thing, but there was supposed to be a Laserdisc commentary by James Mason, who played Dr. Polidori, and by Michael Sarrazin, who played the creature. They actually were going to do a full commentary, but it didn't work out so good. So I got a friend of mine to edit some parts of it, some clips, just to give us the best parts, and you can see why it didn't work.
Ooh. Well, I look forward to seeing that on this week's It Came from the Cutting Room Floor.
Yay! James, so good to see you again.
Oh, it's you. I was hoping they'd use one of the other ladies. What's the point of this? Why are we here?
Well, we're going to watch the movie and talk about it while they record it for the Laserdisc.
What the bloody hell is a Laserdisc?
Basically, it's a new way for people to watch movies in their homes.
And they want us to be talking over it? Why don't they just stay in the theater?
Oh, look, it's your very first scene, and it's with Leonard. He's such a natural talent.
He was a hack. No talent amateur couldn't carry a scene with a wheelbarrow. Oh, there you are, half naked and prancing around like a giddy little fairy. There you go, gushing all over Whiting.
Yes, this was a very emotional scene, as Victor is so ecstatic that his creation
Emotional? Dear boy, one has to have emotional range to convey emotion. This was nothing more than puffy bollocks.
What?
Can I get a fucking refill over here?
This is my favorite scene. My character goes berserk and kills Jane Seymour's character. She was wonderful in this.
Such lovely breasts.
James.
Wonderful ass.
James, this is very inappropriate.
So, just between us, was this the first time you ever touched a woman?
This is exciting. You can start to see the decomposition on Victor's creation.
Yes, tell me, to achieve that face, did they put something on you or just take it off?
What's your problem?
My problem is that my glass is empty!
The ship scene. One of the most exciting ones. So realistic.
Realistic, of course. You soaking wet and surrounded by semen.
Okay, you know what? That's it. Do you want to go, old man?
Whenever you want to try it, Nancy boy, I'm Captain fucking Nemo.
Okay, you know what? I'm done. I didn't get paid enough to put up with you then, and I'm certainly not getting paid enough now.
Oh, they paid me in blowing hookers. Wow, that James Mason, kind of a dick.
Yeah, this, I don't know what he was like if he was like that all the time, if it was just a special incident here, but yeah, I really felt bad for Michael Sarrazin.
I know, he's just like a nice Canadian guy, and there's this British guy just ripping off on him, like, for no reason. I mean, they both seem like decent actors in the movie, but apparently one of them is a very mean drunk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very eye-opening, for sure. So, now we're getting to my best part, and there's a couple here. I'm very curious about this, what you're going to go with this, but Mike, do you have something special for us right now?
I do. Since you brought such an amazing commentary, I will bring my kill of the week.
Okay, I can't wait for this one. I want to know.
There are so many prestigious kills in this movie, from a woman trying to stop a runaway horse cart by screaming and staring at it, and apparently that backfires, to a guy who just thought, You know what? Let's just inspire the scene from Terminator where I throw myself at a lumbering fucking invincible piece of work. Oh, that backfired too. And then we get Dr. Polidori getting vaporized by lightning, which is still fucking hilarious. Oh my god.
Death by turning into plastic skeleton.
Death by skeletonization. If that's not a word, I just made it one.
Hey, why not? You've been making up words all through this episode, so why stop now?
And then there's like one guy that just kills himself by wrestling with Thing from the Addams Family. And apparently that was just such a big strain. He's just like, okay, well, I'm going to write some notes. Oh, fuck my heart, I'm dead. So there's a series of amazing deaths, but I got to give it up to the monster's entrance at the ball. I mean, when when Prima is dancing around, showing everybody, oh, look at how lovely and lithe I am. And everyone's just like, wow, look at how lovely and lithe she is. And she's just dominating the ball, and Polidori is just like, oh, I'm gonna have her marry a duke and then fuck an earl and seduce a queen, and I'll be pulling the strings of Europe with my dead fucking hand. And like, he's got plans and schemes, and this girl's just like, I just want to dance and be pretty. And then the monster throws open the doors, double door style, and the music just stops, and everyone just is appalled by his freaky Geico face. And then he just walks up to Agatha, as he calls her, and she immediately like lunges into him. Like, she is, this girl is ready to attack, and I'm expecting an epic battle sequence, because he may be tall and have raw power, but she was made with a perfect animation process. So I would imagine that she would have just as much power as he does, and maybe even more. I mean, like, they're all boasting about how his method was so much better. Mm-hmm. And I'm expecting these two to come at it into an epic battle royale. And what happens? Like, she charges at him like she wants to kill him. So I'm just thinking, wow, she is confident in her combat skills to take this guy on. And so the people try to pull her away, and she ends up like, he goes on a nice rampage to get to her. And then when he finally does get his hands on her, she tries clawing him to no avail. And it's like, whoever wrote this really hates women. Because they could have had like a great Black Widow moment where she like tries to smother him with her box while flipping him around on the ground. But no. She just tries to scratch him like a girl, because apparently that's the only way women can fight, according to this screenwriter. And then he just throttles the hell out of her, and then just decides, nope, I'm not going to strangle you. I'm going to do something else. And then shears her head off camera. But we can just see everyone's reaction, so you know what he done did. And then he just drops the prop head on the ground while Polidori is just like, my Prima, my doll. And it's like, you know the way he's mourning her that he fucked her. I mean, like, you know that's what Polidori did. He's like, I'm going to teach you how to walk, how to talk, how to be refined, and I'm also going to tell you how to keep terrible secrets.
Yeah, there was definitely it was definitely more to their relationship than he was letting on. Yeah, that's a good scene. Like, they didn't show the actual ripping of the head, but they did very nicely show him throw it down later, and Polidori freaking out and trying to pick it up with his stump hands while fumbling all over the floor. It was great.
A ripped off head with no blood. He just drops like a fucking mannequin head on the ground. And you're like, if you rip that off of her, where would the purple blood be? Because apparently when he gets scratched, or she gets scratched, it's purple blood. So you'd expect dripping like a bit of a spinal cord or something. But no, it's just a nice mannequin head dropped on the ground. But still, just demonstrating that power. And her complete lack of power, like, I really thought the way she wanted to tear into him, that she would have a bit more than just like, ooh, I want to scratch him. I seriously thought that we could have gotten some great epic Titan Clash of the Titan violence here, but nope. Apparently perfecting the process makes them pretty, but about wet paper consistency.
Yeah, good kill. Yeah, that was my favorite too, for sure. So we were definitely on the same same mindset for that, for sure.
The schism between us has been mended.
Yes. Okay, well, that is all the movie coverage we have for this week, but we're not done just yet because we want to hear from you. And actually, just today I heard from somebody, and I can't think of the name now. I'm so sorry. But anyway, a while ago we've talked about it, that we were asked what our favorite horror movie was, and we didn't know. We couldn't say, or I couldn't say anyway, and we ended up breaking down the whole thing, broke down the horror category into 10 subcategories. And somebody asks, actually I said today, it was like a few days ago, somebody asked, okay, question, what's your favorite subcategory? I'm like, oh my god. Okay, mine is probably a creature feature. I think if I could pick just one, it would be that. But I'm like, you know what? Instead of getting our opinion, let's do a poll. I did a poll on Twitter, and I was surprised with the results. You know what subcategory got the most votes?
Slasher?
Yeah. With 40% of the votes, slasher.
Wow.
I was kind of surprised. I thought that Supernatural was going to be the top one.
Yeah, apparently people like their Michael Myers and their Jason Voorhees over their Wolfmans and Mummies and Draculas.
I gotta admit, kind of pleasantly surprised. Like, I thought that I knew what everyone was going to go for, but slasher for the win. So thanks to everybody that voted. And if you have something you want to say, question, movie suggestion, comments, well, you got several ways that you can do that. You can, first of all, and let me put my headphones back on before I step on them because they just fell straight to the floor. You can email us at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. Of course, just like we talked about just now, you can reach out to us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod. And you can get us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. And if you think our giving away a free show is a silly idea, you can help us see the error of our ways by making a donation to the show on our Patreon page. And that is www.patreon.com/graveyard.
You can correct us of our socialist ways and show us the joys of capitalism by paying us for our work.
That's right. All the proceeds from Patreon go to the upkeep and promotion of the show and entitles you to get some nice Patreon exclusive bonus episodes and future giveaways. So it's worthwhile. And Patreon donations can be as little as $1 a month. But if you are as poor as us and giving away money is not possible, you can still help us out a ton by rating, reviewing, and subscribing on iTunes, by following us on Twitter and Facebook, sharing the podcast with friends, and by listening just like you are right now.
Yep. And suggesting movies for us to watch, commenting, engaging us on the Facebook page.
Just keep us busy, really. That's all you have to do.
We are so bored.
One of us is so bored.
One of us has time on their hands because apparently the workforce is not a welcoming place.
So that's all for today, but Mike, before we go, can we give them a little taste of what's up for next week?
Well, we have heard quite a few people suggesting our next movie, and it's about time we finally get into it. So I think we will be grabbing our train ticket and heading to a certain place.
All right. Yeah, this one was actually suggested quite a bit, so we had to check this one out. And hopefully, I'm not going to say what it is, but hopefully we'll have we might be having a little company for next episode as well. So we'll get more into that.
We might be sharing a cabin on this train.
That's right. But that is it from us. So until next time, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
And please come join us again on the Graveyard Shift. This is exciting. You can start to see the decomposition. What? Oh my God! What is wrong with me?
You can hear the decomposition in Sheldon's recording.
You can hear the decomposition. Okay, try this again.